Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the Hiya Toys Judge Dredd, Judge Death black and white version with legs, not the ghosty version, and what's he called? Chief Judge Cal. I don't know much about Judge Dredd. I just know the movies and I don't remember them all that well, but I know you guys care about this stuff and they asked me if I want review samples, so I say yes, I can review them for my audience, and so that is what happens. These guys are pretty cool. They're mostly in line with what we've seen before, though there are some different things we need to talk about. So let's go ahead and get them off the stand and take a closer look. Let's go ahead and get our height measurements out of the way. This guy stands just shy of 4.5 inches, so maybe like 4 3/8. That's gonna make him about 11 centimeters. Let's try this one. They're a little different, I think. Yeah, he's about 10.5 centimeters, and that's gonna be about 4 3/16, something like that, just for scale purposes, because people can't always tell on camera how big a figure is. Here he is up against the Marvel Legends Darwin, just above the waist. Oop, always getting in trouble there, Darwin. This guy obviously being a little taller, he will be a little bit taller compared to Darwin, but still quite small. Alright, so aesthetically, these are not the best I've seen from Hiya Toys. I do believe the last Judge Death that I reviewed that was black and white had a more detailed paint job. This one is clean as heck though. It still looks good. There's shading throughout the lighter colors. The paints are clean. We'll just look at one at a time, I guess. The sculpted details are nice. You can see it says death on there nice and clearly. All the details around are pretty darn good. Like, it's not bad at all. I just think the other one was probably a little better. It had a little bit more shading like you see on the knee pads here. But still, that looks nice. Even the feet are done pretty well. So it's a good looking figure for sure. Just might not be as fancy. I think that last one was an exclusive though. So that's okay. This still looks really awesome. And then this guy, definitely not my favorite. I feel like his face is a little bit too cartoonish, and I know they're drawn that way sometimes. You guys can let me know. I don't know, it's also a little bit glossy. He doesn't seem as good as the two lady ones that I reviewed not that long ago. But what is there is done well. It's pretty clean. I like that his blue parts have a nice matte finish to them, so that's helpful, that looks good. The belt has some shading. The little star things look nice, there's more shading on the green down here. And then he has a neoprene cape, which is a really good material to use. Is it neoprene? No, spandex, not neoprene. Losing my mind. Spandex is a really good material to use. It doesn't fray, and it does hang if you get a thin one. It hangs pretty well. So I like that. I think they did a good job there. But yeah, the face is definitely questionable to me. It's just a bit too on the nose. Or not on the nose. It's just a bit too cartoonish. I don't know. It almost looks like a blonde Gavin Newsom, doesn't it? Anyway, aesthetically, they're pretty good. They're not perfect. We have seen better, I think, but they are still pretty darn good. And so, especially with the sculpts, I think they're real, except for this guy's face. The sculpts are pretty solid, especially on this guy. I'm gonna go 8 out of 10 for the aesthetic. Overall, pretty good. This guy's a little higher, this guy's a little lower, but still pretty solid. Now, as far as accessories go, they both come with the little display base and the two little clippy things. They each get one of those sets. Death comes with the two alternate hands, which are a little bit more stylized, and what looks like a black and white heart with a little bit of shading on there, so that's pretty cool. And then Cal comes with another set of loose hands, so he's got basically two sets of loose hands. We do get an alternate head. I'm not sure what that is supposed to be, so I'm not going to comment on that. And then we get what looks to me to be a little fishbowl with a little fish inside, which is pretty good, though the plastic could be a little more clear. So not bad accessories. Again, I don't know the source material all that well, but they have some accessories, so I'll go 7 out of 10. Maybe we could have had some more in there, but we didn't. Okay, as far as articulation goes, we're going to run them both individually. Now, I thought this guy, last time I reviewed him, I thought his shoulder pads had articulation, but this one, they are just connected to the shoulders. So they do get in the way quite a bit when you go to pose them. They wiggle some because they flex from the plastic, but they do get in the way quite a bit. So the shoulders are swivel hinges. I'll get to the head. I know I skipped it. Because the shoulder pads are, I don't remember them being like this. You can see that peg, that's just part of the shoulder itself that goes up to the shoulder pad. So going out to the side is pretty limited. And then rotating it is also limited because the shoulder pad has to move. This one's not as bad. But the shoulder pad gets in the way quite a bit. So be aware of that. The head is on a ball peg. Doesn't do a ton, mostly due to the design of his helmet going so far back, but you get your rotation and a little bit of leaning, so it should be okay. Elbow pads are a loose piece, so they won't get in the way too much. You get single jointed elbows, which give you about 90 degrees, and you get your bicep swivel out of that if you need it. Wrists are on little tiny ball pegs, not much going on there. No upper torso articulation on this guy. His lower torso, it has some leaning, but it's mostly going to just be rotation. Some very subtle leaning. His hips are drop-down hips, which are not good. That's never a good thing, and these are fairly loose. And he's so skinny that his hips are quite a problem. They really needed to be stiffer, and the drop-down feature is not an ideal one to add stiffness. And also, it's just the way they're cut. They don't have really much range other than out to the side, which is probably not the most useful thing. So very, very limited in the hips. You do get a thigh swivel. Double jointed knee works nicely, surprisingly well. So that's good. Then the ankles have a hinge, which works nicely, and an ankle rocker, which is pretty solid. So parts of him are terrible. Parts of him are good. I'd say it's about average. I'll rate him at a 6 out of 10. Could be better. The loose hips are really a problem, but it's not bad. Now this guy, on the other hand, well, not really on the other hand. He's got the same sort of situation. Some problems and some good. His head does move around pretty well, given the scale. You're going to get your rotation and some leaning, so that's okay. These shoulder pads, they appear to be connected the same way, as in they're not going to move. They're going to go with the shoulders, and that's it. So you can get his arms up to the side about that far. Rotating the arms, yeah, the shoulder pads bump right into the head, and that's a problem. This is actually a loose piece connected with some chains, but it's not getting out of the way. So the torso articulation, which is in there, is going to be mostly useless. Like, you can rotate the whole thing around at the waist and lean him around at the waist some, which is pretty good. I guess you can use his diaphragm joint some. He's moving around, I guess. It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. He can lean back pretty well. Leaning forward, actually pretty good. Yeah, okay, so I didn't think that it was going to work, but it is working. So I'll give them some credit. This big plate doesn't get in the way that much. He does have the, we'll get to the arms. He does have the drop-down hips. They're not as bad as death, but they aren't good. And as you can see, once they're low, they look weird. So they have to really be posed once they're low. You can't, like, just extend a leg. It's going to look really weird. But when they're up, they have almost no range. So it's just, I think they should nix this whole idea of the drop-down hips. It's not a good one to imitate from figure arts. I would do something else. This is not a good idea. You do get some thigh swivel out of that. Double jointed knee. Why am I doing the arms last? I don't know. It's a good question. Knees work well. And then for the ankle, you get decent range going back, decent range going forward, and an ankle rocker that's solid, no problem there. For the arms, it's really the same thing. It's just a single jointed elbow, about 90 degrees. That's where you get your bicep swivel, and you get a little ball peg for the wrists. So again, not bad. He's probably better than Death. No, he is definitely better than Death. His hips are still not great, but the rest is solid. Shoulders are limited. You could go 6 or 7 on this guy. So, you know, it depends on what you care about. So, final verdict on these guys. For the scale, I still think they are done incredibly well. The sculpt and paint is really nice, with the exception of this guy's glossy, weird face. And the articulation is solid enough. So I'm going to give it a final rating. I know it's not actually a 2-pack, but I'm just reviewing them together. I'm going to say they're each a 7 out of 10 overall. If you're into the line, you'll probably enjoy them. And if you're not, then they might not be something you need to pick up, because they're not, like, incredibly impressive or anything like that. So there it is, guys. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And if you haven't subscribed, you should. I have new videos almost every single day, and thousands already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. In the meantime, keep collecting.